Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP army. Wow. I'm at a loss of words. I'm sure a lot of people are at a loss of words right now as to what's happening. And what has been happening with the markets. Obviously right now, if you're looking across the board, we're seeing market bouncing so much. You're seeing double-digit gains. You saw instantly. We're talking instantly money flowing into the crypto space as well as the stock market based off of what we've heard. And now we're really going to be talking about what really is next. I'm going to share my personal outlook with you guys as to what I personally think. And what we've been discussing over the last few days, if you've been focusing very closely what I actually have been saying, you will understand the things that we've been talking about actually have been happening. But now the question of the matter is the bottom in? Remember, I repeat, no one can tell you exactly where the bottom is going to be. We can make judgments and, we can make educated judgments, but of course, no one can really come in and say, this is the bottom or that is the bottom. But anyhow, we're going to talk about what's really happening right now. If you're looking at the price of XRP, it's above $2, $2.07, up 15% in USD comparative. It's up 5% in Bitcoin comparative. Valuation at $121 billion. And the 24-hour trading volume at $8.2 billion. So going back to what I said to you guys in my last few updates, XRP in a grand scheme of things is holding really, really good. And, if you were to see a positive move like what we have seen right now, XRP would make its way back above $2 quite fast. You could pause the video and go watch any of my videos. And I've stated how, XRP price has been looking good in a grand scheme of things. But before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So stocks soar as President Trump says he has authorized a 90-day pause on tariffs. So there we have it. Why has the market reacted in such a positive way? Because, the reason why, there was so much uncertainty was because of the tariffs that were happening globally. We're talking globally. And of course, that has put a massive strain on, the financial market in terms of uncertainty being quite high. And remember, I've been talking about we need a resolution, some sort of a resolution that needs to come in before, we can start getting excited. And this is part. It's not entirely the resolution that I'm looking for because it's only a 90-day period. So what's really going to happen next? We've seen a 30-day pause before. And we know what happened just recently. So, we got to look at it from that lens as well. But the news that gives me a little bit of hope is this. President Trump offered to talk with Chinese President Xi about tariffs. And if they come up with a resolution, remember, going back to what I said, and he needs to do it with EU as well, and all the other countries that are, obviously putting tariffs on U.S. goods. So pretty much, this is what you need to see. But you need a resolution. It can't be, we're not making things work and this and that. If that happens, guess what? We're still in the same circle. I repeat, we're going to be still in the same circle. I know right now the market is booming right now. You're seeing a lot of gains being made. This could be the reversal if there is officially a resolution. But with that said, let's continue to take a look at what's happening. You can see very interesting things happening. You can't make this up. At 9:37 a.m. Eastern time today, President Trump posted that it's a great time to buy. Then at 1:18 p.m., Trump posted that he is pausing tariffs for 90 days. The Nasdaq is now up over 10% on track for its best day since October 2008. Did Trump just tell us about one of the market's largest daily gains 4 hours in advance? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about that. I'm sure anyone that was accumulating over the course of the last few hours. Again, you remember, no one can really time the market's bottom. So, of course, we stated this in my several other updates. Dollar cost averaging in is your best friend at the end of the day if you are in it for the long haul, especially if you're accumulating. So I'm sure no one's really complaining in that, part of the image. But look at this. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says we will take a close look at regulatory impediments to blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment system. What comes in our mind? What comes in our mind when it's you're looking at the Treasury Secretary Scott mentioning this? We will take a close look at regulatory, blockchain, stablecoins, and new payment systems. What checks the boxes here? XRPL Ledger. Remember, blockchain technology being talked about so much. It's being implemented with massive amounts of interest, as well as stable coins. And guess what XRP has for itself? Ripple has all that, checks the boxes in every single category. So again, the links are there. Why is the XRP community excited about this? Because of the fact that you can really kind of make a link. So very, very interesting. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about that. Apologies on that. I have still a little bit of cough, so bear with me on that. And you can see, shout out to our friend Smoke. Ripple is almost the only case where a blockchain correspondent banking and remittance overlap. Unique value proposition. Like I said, all the puzzle pieces are aligning together. Moving forward, Mr. Lynch just stated in the hearing that the SEC case against Ripple has been dropped to allow for innovation to grow. Very, very exciting stuff. So is this really the time to be getting excited about the markets? Because we're talking about 90 days. That's 3 months. That's 3 months until, we have where we don't hear about these tariffs talk. So are we about to see the market booming, leading up to that? We'll see what happens, with this. But if you're looking at the dominance itself right now, if you're looking at the dominance price right now, not the price, dominance percentage. You're looking at the dominance percentage, making its way towards, obviously, the downside a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, still above 63%. So of course, right now, the dominance is going to pull down right now, especially when Bitcoin, pumps up to the likes of, the 38-point Fibonacci retracement level, thanks to Donald Trump here. But a lot of people are not happy at the same time as well, because, the amount of manipulation that has been happening within the crypto markets pretty much over the last few months. I know there's a lot of people right now. I was, on this crypto space. I don't know who it was, but I think it was from the traditional market aspect, in terms of sentiment from a lot of analysts. They're still, even though, this is very exciting, a lot of people are still kind of iffy on this. But if you're looking at, Bitcoin, guys, Bitcoin had one of the biggest bounces since yesterday. We're talking about an 11% gain back into the 38.0. If we're able to close the daily candle here, I think, we could start pushing up to the 90K Bitcoin now, because of the fact that we're talking about 90 days, guys. That is a long time, 3 months. But of course, with that being said, it's only a time to be getting excited as long as we don't see any choppiness or any news that could have an impact. Tariffs now that are paused, we don't want to hear anything unless, of course, it's a resolution. If it's once again some sort of tariffs being announced or retaliation, I think this will have negative impact on the markets. But as of now, XRP's price, I'm sure no one's really complaining, especially the ones that have been accumulating XRP over the course of the last few days. It's pretty much back to where it was, guys. XRP's price is pretty much back to where it was prior to this major pullback. And this should tell you the demand factor. I've been mentioning this in my last few updates. It's up 30% in just a short span of time. This should tell you everything you need to know in terms of how much demand there really is for XRP right now. The fact that it's back to where it was prior to this major correction tells you that the demand factor it has for itself. And I do believe that we are in for some exciting times, as long as, hear me out, as long as we don't hear any more tariff stuff for the next 3 months, and hopefully just completely have some big resolution. If not, be prepared for more choppy levels. Let me know down below what you guys think. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.